A Plague Tale Innocence review. Now, I played Plague Tale because it kept popping up in like my Epic library. I got it for free. It was on Game Pass and stuff. And because it starts with an A, it's at the top of the list. So whenever I'm looking for a game, it was like right there. So I played it having no idea what I was getting into. I just knew that I had heard people say it was a good game. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And it was genuinely so much better than I was expecting. It was a really great game. I had a ton of fun playing it. But this video is not about what I think. Let's see what the reviews say. Obviously, spoilers. The story is okay, 7 out of 10. Gameplay and characters are great, 9 out of 10. Graphics are amazing, 10 out of 10. The RPG elements aren't that good, but still acceptable. Overall, 8 out of 10. 0 out of 10. I normally do not write a review until I have finished a game. I'm missing the last chapter only and have played chapters 2 through 12 through twice. I've invested a ridiculous amount of time in this game, so I feel that I am qualified to review it. 70 hours at review time. This person played this game for 70 hours and didn't finish it. They just kept replaying the middle chapters. This is only like a 10 to 15 hour game. And it's very story heavy. And then what's even wilder than that is they played for another 30 hours. I hope they finished it. It's a good ending. I liked it. I know it was controversial. I liked the ending. This is one of the best games I've ever played. Very interesting style of old France. Gameplay, of course, for an amateur. I know people who video game as like a serious hobby enjoy difficult gameplay. I don't. I found this hard. I love video games, but I'm so bad at them. Absolutely awful. The most boring game ever, and the biggest disappointment of my life. Buddy, I hate to tell you, it can get so much more disappointing. This game, remember me the first time I played The Last of Us. When you were playing, you feel the sensation of carring a child behind you. The atmosphere, the music. This game deserved to be in your game collection. I think carring a child is a crime. Playing this in the age of the coronavirus. Man, you picked an awful time to play this game. All the stuff about the Middle Ages is present in this game. Hellish vision of a world that never existed. Excessive and without intelligence. I don't entirely understand what you're trying to say, but based on what I think you're trying to say, no, the Middle Ages really sucked, actually. It was pretty terrible. My plan was to eliminate the French, but the bubonic plague beat me to it. 10 out of 10. A simple tale aimed at a younger audience. Children, I guess. Buddy, I do not think this game is for children. I chose this one not because it's funny, but because it really speaks to how I feel about humanity in the game. The rats are awful. They're the worst. And humans are still worse than rats. And that's how I feel about real life. No matter how bad things are, humans are still the worst. An action-adventure game set in the 14th century with beautiful graphics and decent gameplay. It reminded me of a Last of Us Light. The player explores linear levels, stealthing past enemies, and collecting resources to craft items and upgrades. There is some light combat with the sling as well. The reason I can't give it a higher score is that I don't like children. And babysitting a whiny brat across the countryside is just not for me. I hate children. Yes, the rat looked like my sister. Graphics 8, gameplay 7, story 8, lore/soundtrack 9. That doesn't make sense to me. The only way this makes sense is if this is just your way of saying that the lore and the soundtrack separately both get a 9. I don't understand if these are lumped together. How the lore and the soundtrack have nothing to do with each other. Rate A Plague Tale? Love. It really make you feel the sadness of plague outbreak historically back then during 1300 plus. I don't know what time it was, but it was at least the 1300s. This is not a game. It's a man control cutscene collection. A very bad so-called indie game. The whole story is full of shit. This always drives me nuts because yeah, it's a story game. Man, games have cutscenes. If you care that much about your game having cutscenes or being basically an interactive movie, it's not hard to figure that out before you play the game. Quick background on me, the reviewer, and I'm gonna stop you right there. No thank you. This is a fun older sister simulator. Throughout the game, you collect various younger siblings that you need to take care of. They're basically worthless, and it really makes you appreciate how much older sisters have to do to take care of their nearly siblings. If this was the only review I read before I played the game, I would think this game is literally about like collecting orphans. You can pet the dog. 10 out of 10, man. Amazing. Budget bubonic plague simulator. Just what the gaming market was asking for. More of a stealth game than an action game. I don't like the desolate and disgusting atmosphere that rules in most of the game. Too many rats. I just wish that this game was less dismal. Yes, I personally also wish that the plague was less depressing. It bums me out. The Rats of Us. I don't really care about this person's review, but I love that they call this the spookometer. This would be great for people like my wife. My wife loves to know how scary something's gonna be before you get into it. Great game, but would be even better if the kid would just shut up for 1 minute. You can throw rats at the Pope. The story is very good and engaging, but the game drags on a bit. I continued playing because I was eager for the sequel. 6 out of 10. What? You liked the game, you're looking forward to the sequel, and you only gave it a 6, and also, too long, it's barely 15 hours. Amazing story, gameplay, and graphics. It would be good if it's a little bit longer. See, now the game is too short. We gotta make up our minds here, people. Is the game too long or too short? This game lost 5 hours of my progress from 6 chapter to 11 because Windows Defender blocks saving file in Documents folder, even though prior to chapter 6, game saved properly. Had to drop this piece of blank blank. I would love to know what they said there. I don't know how the censoring works on Metacritic, but I feel like they're really taking away from the artistry of these comments by not leaving that in. The main thing I like about this one, though, is that they're blaming Windows Defender, which it could have been Windows Defender's fault, but they left the game a bad score, which had nothing to do with their saving problems. It was a Windows problem. Combines the two worst part of games, an annoying child and escort missions. Amazing graphical engine for being homegrown. The game itself is basically a walking simulator from the opening stretch I played. I still subscribe to the school of writing where if you don't have important things to say in your writing, don't leave them in the final script. That's ultimately why I uninstalled. The text was just so painfully uninteresting. The thought of sticking with it for any amount of time more brought mental agony. There are a lot of things you could say about this game. A lot of things you could complain about, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to like everything that I like and vice versa and whatever. But to say that the writing was the bad part of this game, I just don't trust your opinion on anything, honestly. The overall score is based on how much fun I personally had with every component of the game and the overall experience. Yeah, that's how review scores work. A wonderful game, equal to the Last of Us series. Buy it. It's worth. It is very emotional like The Last of Us. However, it is less scary. Instead of zombies, there are rats, disease, and death. You will love it. And you know what? They were right. I did love it. My wife always makes fun of me for enjoying sad media, like depressing video games and movies and stuff. And guilty as charged. I do. I give the reviews for A Plague Tale: Innocence an 8 out of 10. I think for the most part, it was reviewed accurately by the users, but there were a few really weird people who just had the strangest nitpicks about this game. I personally loved it. I loved the sequel, which I'll be doing next week. And if you got Game Pass or something and you haven't played it yet and you're just looking for something for a chill story game, I actually do highly recommend this game. I really enjoyed it. It was fun.